All right, welcome BYU fans. This is the editor from Blue Cougar Football, coming with one more analysis and post-game reaction. This time our first loss of the 2012 season, and it's a tough one once again. I'm gonna make it quick. Although I got a lot of ideas in my head and still feel a lot of pain, but just want to get this out there, get some things out, and I think a lot of this might be pretty obvious to you. I think these things are pretty obvious for everyone. You can't go from 7 turnovers one year to 7 false starts the next year and expect to win. Those 7 false starts were killer, and as well as the other penalties that BYU had. Penalties were a poison pill for this team. You can see the penalties were very closely connected and correlated very closely with all of the Utah points. And that's not just the Utah game. That was the theme in the Washington State game. I haven't gone back and done any analysis for Weber State, but that's 2 out of the 3 games where every single point is tied to penalties. The BYU defense plays great, plays awesome. There's just these mental issues. Most of them are mental problems, personal fouls, false starts. That has to be fixed. Interestingly, I thought in this game, Utah was not the typically mentally tough Utah team that there is. They had bad composure. They lost control and self-destructed almost as much as BYU did, which was a big reason why the game was as close as it was. But I'm not going to use that and then reverse it and start calling out BYU coaches, calling out all BYU players. I think the offensive line, yes, they should be called out. The offensive line coach should be called out. This is very unacceptable, what we've seen, and this is going to be a long season if things don't get better. But this is a rivalry that we have seen over more than a decade now. It fits that cliche, throw the records out when they get together. It doesn't matter how good one team is or how bad the other team is. It's going to be tough. It is going to be hard fought, and you have to. You can't make mistakes, and so if you don't make mistakes, then you win. If you make mistakes, you lose. So just like we saw in 2010, supposedly far superior Utah team have a hard time with a mediocre BYU team. I know you can point to certain things like John White IV not playing, Jordan Wynn not playing, Brian Johnson being a first-year offensive coordinator. You can point to all those things and say BYU should have won by a lot, but that's just not the way this rivalry goes. Utah should have won by a lot in 2003. I mean, come on, that was a 10-win Utah team. BYU that was the 4-win BYU team. It turns out to be a 3-0 game. And don't say it was the weather. A BYU team with no quarterback, no offense at all. So it's just the way this rivalry goes. And so it feels awful. I wish it had ended with a win. I was ready. I was waiting for it. I was so believing it and hoping it. With 1 minute left, I said to myself, well, I don't know exactly how it's going to end, but I know right now, here soon, there's going to be a 4th and more than 10 yards to go, and we're going to get a long pass. That's just the way it goes. And that's what happened, just like 2000, just like 2007. We had a 4th and 12 this time. 47-yard pass to Cody Hoffman. And we were going to finish it with a touchdown, just like the other years. Cody Hoffman beat his man. Nelson was looking at him, waiting to get Hoffman deep for the touchdown. The protection just wasn't there. Cody Hoffman, the best wide receiver in college football. Uncoverable, absolutely uncoverable. I have no doubt he's going to go on, have a great career in the NFL. The offensive line, again, it's the offensive line's the problem. We still should have gone for it. We still should have gone for it, I say. Instead of trying to kick the field goal. Kicking game is not how BYU wins games in this series. Can you tell me one game in the BYU-Utah series that BYU has won in the final minutes with a field goal kick? There's just none. But now that's 2 in the last 3 years that we've lost. Now Utah, they won in 1993 with a 55-yard field goal. Kicking game is good for Utah, and they've had some crazy punt returns very late in the game. Kickoff returns very late in the game. So that's how Utah wins in this series, but not BYU. We should have just lined up Hail Mary, something. That's how BYU wins. We win with touchdowns in the final minute. Oh, so I'm very disappointed with the outcome. Great effort by the defense. Kyle Van Noy, what can you say about the guy that you haven't said already? He is awesome, and each week he gets closer to being deserving of the being called the best. The speed and the way he came around and chased down Hayes for that sack and forced fumble when he rolled opposite. That's vintage Kyle Van Noy. Spencer Hadley, I love Spencer Hadley on the outside. In my mind, there's no drop-off from Jordan Pendleton with Spencer Hadley. He is making great plays. Riley Stevenson, I hope the Ray Guy voters were watching that guy. He had a great game punting once again. Punting out of his end zone all the time, it seemed like, or else pinning Utah deep inside their own 10-yard line. He's having a real good year. Again, there's not much to say except just that it hurts. We know what BYU did wrong. We know what needs to be fixed. Mental errors, those false start penalties, unsportsmanlike conduct penalties. It'd just be nice to have a game finish and be able to say, yeah, BYU played their best, put it out there, and that's why they won. Or they played their best, they put it out there, and it just wasn't good enough. But to have always these nagging problems, it's tough. So it's time to rise up as Cougar fans. It's time to move on. Boise State's coming up here real soon. Hopefully we'll have much better and exciting stuff to talk about next week. Go Cougars!